You're feeling stuck. You can't seem to make a change to establish that new routine or reach your goals.
We're going to teach you how to change your habits and reach your goals in these 5 simple steps. Hi, this is Just Be Well, the channel about whole life wellness using functional medicine. I'm drsult, a medical doctor and functional medicine practitioner.
I'm Elizabeth, a registered nurse and wellness coach here at Just Be Well. Before we get to the 5 simple steps, first we're going to talk a little bit about the problem. Let's say you spend money on a monthly gym membership, but you don't have the time to go.
Or maybe something didn't turn out quite the way you wanted it to, and you just can't get past it.
Or self-judgment is causing you to lower your expectations. Maybe you're stuck in worry and afraid to make that change.
Or maybe you're waiting around for some external stimulus to get you motivated and going, when the truth is motivation comes from within. So before we get to the solution, if you like this kind of content, please subscribe, please hit the bell so you get notifications. We'd love it if you commented and share this channel. Also, stick around to the end because we have some lusty stuff for you. So a little preamble to our 5 steps. The first one is making small changes every day really add up, and they also open up a lot of opportunities.
I know that change can be scary. It can be very hard. I think we've all heard the term ego before. Our ego is meant to keep us safe. As we start to take ourselves off of autopilot and try to establish a new routine, it is automatically going to redirect us back into our old routine. Our old routine is comfortable and it's safe. It's right where it wants us to be.
So let's get unstuck in 5 steps.
Step 1, observe yourself. 95% of what you do in a day is on autopilot. Really start to observe your behaviors.
So think about your behaviors. Don't judge them, but look at them. And then sometimes you have to hold them up into the light and determine if they're really valid or not. You know, most of the negative emotions we carry are because of assumptions we've made, not because of factual reality. Step number 2, monitor yourself for triggers. What kinds of things trigger you? How are they related to past events? And are they really valid to this current event?
As you start to notice your triggers, when you start to feel that emotion arise from behind them, really take a moment to pause. This is a time where you want to do some breath work, take some deep breaths before you respond to the situation.
I like to talk about that pause between the stimulus and the response. And that pause is something we have control over, but only if we're conscious of it. So take conscious control of that pause. And if you need to take a few breaths, as was recommended, or if it's really contentious, maybe you need to be a little stealth about it and just excuse yourself to the restroom. You can take a few breaths, take a moment, throw some cold water on your face, whatever you need to do to exercise control over the response so that when you come back, you can be present rather than reactive.
And that's really where it stops you from making that habitual reactive response that you would have done in the past. Step 3, look inside and monitor for patterns in your behavior and your emotions. We all have an internal world that's going on inside of us, our thoughts, our emotions, feelings that really goes unnoticed. So take a moment to pay attention to this. Pay attention to the things you're telling yourself at the moments you start to feel those emotions come up, because a lot of times we're telling ourselves things that are not true about the situation. So it really takes attention and intention to change those thoughts and assess the situation from a different perspective.
My internal environment is kind of going, you know, and sometimes it's hard to hear what's coming at me because I'm so wrapped up in my own assumptions about what's going on. If you can slow down, take a breath, get present, get rid of your own assumptions and be present with what's actually being said, usually the conversation goes better.
Mhm.
So step number 4, grow your self-trust. That doesn't mean you always think you're right. It just means you have the confidence to be wrong. It means you're going to state your case and be, open to the possibility that it's wrong, but confident enough to simply strike out and make the case. Otherwise, you get sort of paralysis of analysis and nothing ever happens.
Another way to grow your self-trust is to make one small promise to yourself every day and keep it. So and it should be something that is for self-care. So meditation for one is a great one. And you don't have to start off meditating 15 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. Start off meditating 3 minutes a day if you can. Or start with a gratitude journal. Just list 3 things every day that you're thankful for.
Absolutely. I started that some time ago, and I've not only incorporated the journaling, but I'm then writing an email to the person that came up. So today was an individual, and I just wrote him an email. Happens to be his birthday also. Happy birthday, Mark Hyman. The response I get from these. Last week I sent 3 emails out, and I got the email back was, gosh, that email made my day. So not only are you doing your own brain good and your own mood good, but you're doing the other person a lot of good as well.
And step 5, believe in yourself. Trust that you can reach expectations that are outside of your comfort zone.
So replace I can't with I can't yet, but I'm working on it.
Another good thing to do, make a list of things about yourself, a positive list.
We're also good at beating ourselves to death. Let's make a list of the positive things.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most powerful things I have ever done in my life, I was at a retreat, and they put a piece of paper on everybody's back. And other people at the conference would write a single positive word on the back, on your back. And at the end of the day, you had this, collage of words that people felt described you. I, for years, kept that under the blotter on my desk. And when I was feeling terrible, I'd pull it out and read it. Very uplifting. A list of positive attributes is very uplifting. And it doesn't mean you're conceited. It doesn't mean you're better than everybody else. It just means that these are things about you that are positive.
Many people sabotage their progress, whether it's unconscious or conscious, because of their own limiting self-beliefs and fears.
Yep.
So really ask yourself, what are my beliefs? What are my fears? And don't let fear be the driver.
Fear is deeply hardwired into our system, and it emerges with fight or flight, right? And so if you're starting to feel fear, that's really the time to stop, take a few breaths, try to get out of fight or flight, and overcome the fear with your rational, conscious mind.
Stay tuned for a few more tips that you can start today at home. Also, if you find value to this, please leave us some comments below. We'd love for you to get involved in our community.
Look in the description. There's a link there to join our community. We'd love to see you there. So what to do now? Sleep. You need 7 hours. A lot of people think they can get by on 5, but think about it this way. If Sully Sullenberger would have had only 5 hours of sleep on the night of the miracle on the Hudson, would things have gone quite as well? Do you want your brain surgeon to have only had 5 hours of sleep? Sleep restores us. Sleep is when we detoxify our bodies, particularly our brains. There's a recent study that shows that there's this sequential surge of electrical impulses and cerebral spinal fluid impulses during sleep that actually detoxifies our brain. And we all know we're irritable when we don't get enough sleep.
Also, it's important to pay attention to the foods you consume and the emotions that follow. A lot of us have food triggers that we don't know.
It turns out that the foods you crave are the most likely to be your triggering foods. When you crave a food and you eat it, you feel great right away. But a couple of hours later, not so much. So you got to think in the longer term. It's not how do you feel immediately after you eat always. Sometimes it is. Sometimes you get an immediate symptom, but often it's a few hours later.
I did a slight groan there because I was just thinking of the peanut M&Ms that I had about an hour ago, and I'm starting to feel the effects of enjoying those. And last, action. Make yourself that one promise every day and keep it. This may be, like we said, journaling. This might be a meditation. Maybe it's a mindfulness block, but you really need to make yourself that promise and keep it.
My suggestion, let go of the snooze button. You know, those few minutes of sleep you get at the end of the night when you're hitting the snooze button, they're not restful, they're not restorative, they're not helpful. Much better off getting up, sitting in a chair, and spending those minutes you would have spent in bed actually meditating or journaling on gratitude or something more productive. So this is Just Be Well, the channel about whole life wellness using functional medicine. If you like our content, please comment, please subscribe, please hit the bell. And sharing this will help us grow the channel and will allow us to present more and more content. Until next time.
Bye.